Just some thoughts on the topic of gun violence or whatever. Is all gun violence bad, right? Because the impression that I get from like politicians and politics and people, even at the workplace, because the culture is obviously more favorable to anti-gun culture, basically. I said that no, I don't think all gun violence is bad, because obviously it's the case that the gun actually protects people's lives, right? That protects children, right? Saves lives. That's the kind of gun violence you should want, right? Because I just be against gun violence in general. It's like it's not realistic, to be honest. Like banning weapons. It's like I don't know. You might have to participate in gun violence because in order to protect your community, protect and serve your community. And so, what else? It's like, I'm just trying to think of some thoughts I had about it. Because I constantly see it regurgitated over and over. I just want to minimize gun violence or whatever, but it's like, okay, but in order to protect, like, the children, right, from a school shooter, you would have to have a weapon, and yeah, you have to be armed, basically, and trained. And so I said not all gun violence is bad because you may have to partake of it in order to protect the ones you love, right? And that guns can be used for good purposes, where they protect and save lives. So not all gun violence is bad, and are gun control laws needed to prevent mass shootings or school shootings? No. There's plenty of instances where a trained civilian, right, who's legally able to hold a firearm and is trained, a well-armed civilian, an ordinary person basically who's trained and well-trained and armed is able to prevent mass shooting. And so I would say that gun control laws are not needed to prevent mass shootings or to make you safer. I said that common sense gun laws need not apply to common sense defense, because the gun control laws aren't needed technically to prevent mass shootings. What prevents mass shootings is obviously it depends on the person that's there while it's happening. And if that person is trained and well armed and trained right, then yeah, that person most likely has a higher probability of preventing the mass shooting or so, or the school shooting, or even just having a well armed staff who are trained and having signs plastered all over the campus saying that the staff is well armed and dangerous, right? Because you want to discourage the shooter, right? Potential shooter or something. And so, are gun control laws necessary to prevent school shootings or something? No. Is banning weapons an answer like New Zealand? I say that even though it lowers the gun violence, right, it doesn't actually prevent crime because you still have like violent people. But at the same time, I would say that's not an answer to ban guns, because to keep you safe, right? Because your own freedoms and liberties are their own peace and safety. They come with their own security, peace and security, your liberty and freedoms, that which government cannot provide. But the main reason why it's not an answer, just simply banning guns, is because the major function of our right to bear arms, right, is to keep our government in check, right, to be law-abiding and morally responsible citizens, right, of our country, to help our country, not to help our government, basically keep them morally responsible, I guess. Because I know it's part of the checks and balances, basically, based on some of the stuff that I've been like reading and learning from some of the books that I've read on this issue. And so, yeah, it's part of the checks and balances. It's meant for you to keep your government in check, Just part of being a morally responsible citizen, I guess, of your country. So it's not really an answer to just ban weapons because you want to protect kids. It's actually the opposite that happens. You're making your kids less free. With less freedom is potential for some type of virtual slavery or oppression of some kind. Even like democide, right? I think it's called death by government. Those things are not also, they're not safe either. I mean, considering the fact that like our government has not done a good job preventing mass shooters. So that's why I asked that question: is do you even need gun control laws and stuff like that to prevent mass shootings? This is no. The main thing you need is a well-armed person who is trained in that situation, because those situations are instant, obviously. Just like this guy in this video, right? I was watching on Colin Noor's channel about the 80-year-old store owner who shot the guy in the arm or something because the guy was trying to rob him, which supposedly was a banned weapon, an AR, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That in that instant, that situation, because it's so almost like instantaneous. That no gun control law, no government or law enforcement is going to be able to prevent that. Considering that this man is able, this robber is able to get his hands on a weapon that is supposedly banned. And so how does he get his hands on that? I don't know, probably through some kind of corrupt, because their government, right, California, like, if your government is corrupt, it's going to be extremely irresponsible. Also, they can just be bribed, and that those kinds of weapons can be sold, just like prohibition, right? Creates organized crimes. They structure some kind of channels or something, and so that's how you would still, like, banning guns is not an answer, because it would still somehow, through corruption and organized crime, it would still find its way back into society in some way. And so it's not a guarantee that's going to keep you safe. And then the only thing that was keeping this 80-year-old store owner, right? The only thing that kept him alive was basically that he was trained and he had a weapon, right? Which is all you need to prevent a mass shooter, not legislation, which obviously these criminals don't care about. And it's just that gun laws, right? They're useful, but they don't prevent you from being in this situation that this guy was in. And so the robber was potentially a mass shooter because he had a automatic rifle, right? And so that's what I'm saying. There's plus all the mass shootings that have happened under Obama and Biden, right? Just further proof that your government is not really good at preventing any of those shootings. And so I just wanted to give my thoughts on that. That is all gun violence bad? No. Is gun control laws needed to prevent school shootings? No. And then the third one, and if banning guns is an answer, right? I said no, it isn't, because you still have banned weapons being found in use by criminals still, right? Obviously, like in this video that I'm talking about. And also that it's not an answer because right to bear arms is meant for the ordinary people to carry the burden of keeping their government in check, and also keeping them morally responsible, a restrainer on government. And once that restrainer is gone, right, more power to the government, which means more corruption, right? More corrupt government, which means more irresponsible government, which is why you would have these criminals that possess arms that are supposed to be banned, because all these people that are corrupt only care about money and power and other things, right? And so that's why I say that so yeah, the answer is simple: responsible gun culture, basically. Moral responsible gun culture, I guess, would be the answer. Not an anti-gun culture of it. These people trying to indoctrinate a lot of these young kids to hate guns and demonize guns and stuff. That way their attitude can change towards, guns and stuff. Basically produce an anti-gun culture. That's basically what I feel like they're trying to do. Gun people don't find their positions all that strong. I don't know, I just wanted to give my thoughts and then maybe recommend you some books. The Triumph of the Gun Rights Argument, Why the Gun Control Debate is Over by Harry L. Wilson. That one's pretty good. And then the other one that I've read that's pretty good is the Second Amendment Manifesto, What Every American Should Know About Their Constitutional Right to Own Guns by John Payne. This other one that I sort of read, I haven't read it yet, but it also has a lot of information in it. A lot of good chapters, like I read a couple of chapters on it, and I would say I would recommend it, yeah. Even though I haven't finished it. The book's called That Every Man Be Armed, The Evolution of a Constitutional Right, revised and updated edition by Stephen Halbrook, and then the other one is John R. Lott Jr. He wrote Gun Control Myths, How Politicians, Media, and Botched, quote, studies, and, quote, have twisted the facts on gun control. So learn the actual facts to debunk them. And so I would recommend these books. I just wanted to share my thoughts about it. And anyway, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe. Thank you and God bless.